Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the 615 Preps Scoreboard presented by Fifth Gear Technology Concepts. Chris Brooks and Scott Burton here with you this morning to take you through all the scores from Week 6 around the area and some highlights and interviews thrown in as well. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. Hope everybody had their coffee this morning.
Probably still need some more, honestly. But a fun night for a lot of teams in a lot of places. Let's get started on the scores. Brentwood 42, Hillsboro 7. That is actually our first set of highlights that we'll show you from Thursday night. The Bruins offense and defense, they kind of share the love. Had 3 touchdowns on each side. With, as we'll show here in a second, here's Hillsboro's band leading you into the stadium to get you ready for that Thursday nighter. 7-0 Brentwood already. This pass picked off by Will Adcock. It is a pick 6 for the Bruins. It was the first of several for Brentwood's defense in the night. 14-0 Brentwood. And it didn't take long for them to do it again. This time, Johnny Silvestri does the trick. Puts it down the sideline to about the 3 and needs a little bit of help to get into the end zone, but the pile eventually pushes it into the end zone. And it's 21-0 Brentwood. Hillsboro responded on the next play with an 80-yard touchdown by Trey Johnson to cut back on the Bruins' lead. But it didn't take long for the Bruins to add back to it. It's Hamzi Nassar getting into the end zone on this touchdown run, 28-7. Brentwood and Nassar had 3 scores of the night for the Bruins. Brentwood's defense wasn't done. This one, a forced fumble by Kyler Green. Look who's got it. Johnny Silvestri again. Off to the races and off to the end zone. This all before halftime. 35-7 Brentwood at the break. Brentwood forced 5 turnovers of the night and cashed in with points on 3 of them. And capping the scoring in this one, Hamzi Nassar, his 3rd touchdown of the night in the second half. It made it 42-7. And that's how it will finish as Brentwood easily defeated Hillsboro on Thursday night.
Defensively, you guys have played pretty strong all year, and it kind of showed again tonight. 3 touchdowns on defense. How big was that to get this thing in the right direction?
Oh, it's just, and what's really cool was kids making most of their opportunities, right? Johnny Silvestri isn't a starter, but he comes in there. I know he scored 1, maybe 2 of them. That's the first cool thing about it. A kid that gets to get in the game because of an injury makes something positive happen. But it was certainly a big deal. We've trusted that defense to be good all year. About the only thing they haven't done for us all year, score a lot of points, and they did that for us tonight.
Yeah, offensively, it was a good night, too, for Hamzi, especially with 3 touchdown runs. So how's his addition to the starting lineup been for you guys?
I mean, he's a hard-nosed runner. He does a really good job. You saw tonight, that's who he is. When he gets behind his pads, he gets downhill, he does a really, really good job. And he had to tonight because, Jackson Lowe went out with an injury early on. So, he had to be the workhorse tonight, and we were really pleased with it.
Big one next week with Independence. Obviously, that's going to be big for playoff positioning. How do you guys get into that game and refocus for that one?
Well, we talk about it all the time. We felt bad for 24 hours last week after a loss to Ravenwood. We're going to enjoy this one for 24 hours, and then we're back to work against Indy. It's going to be a huge game. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Ton of respect for Coach Scott Stidham and what he's done. Should be a really fun ball game.
I haven't been starting all season, but tonight, one of our great corners, Jackson, he got hurt, and I was put in the game, and I started at the right time and made some plays.
The way this game unfolded in the first half, as quickly as those touchdowns come, was it kind of surprising that it happened that fast?
Yes, sir. I was caught off guard for the second one, but first one was crazy. Then to get it again a couple drives later was insane.
You kind of needed a little bit of help on that first one.
Oh, yeah. I was not going down the 1-yard line.
How well do you feel like this defense is playing right now? Another loss to Ravenwood. You got over that pretty quickly, but overall, how do you think about this defense?
Playing unbelievable with 6 turnovers today. It's pretty crazy. We bounced back well.
Pretty good Thursday night work, huh?
It felt great. And I just want to say, I didn't by myself score 3 touchdowns. It wasn't just me. My receivers worked their tail off. My quarterback made the right read. And my line is amazing. It wasn't me. It was everyone. We over me. That's what Coach Fitz tells me. That's what he taught me. And I've learned moving to Tennessee that it's not just about me anymore. And I'll get farther in life thinking it's about everyone. So it was my linemen. It was everyone. I just appreciate everyone.
You definitely had some help with that 3rd touchdown getting in there. The line was really pushing you in there. obviously getting over the loss to Ravenwood was important. Now you've got Independence next week. How do you guys recover from this win and get ready for that one?
Well, I mean, Independence is a great team. They have great players, and I respect them very much. But I don't know anyone who works harder than us. Our boys, they're beasts. Like Jason Lowe, Grant Nelson, everyone. They work their tails off, and they never give up. 55, Noah, like, they may not have the size or the popularity, the stars or anything like that, but they have heart. And their heart, I think, is bigger than anyone else's.
Yeah, Brentwood is certainly a team that could do some damage in the postseason. 42-7 that final. Bruins now 4-2, and they have that big region showdown with Independence next week. Hillsboro still looking for win number 1 as they'll travel to Hunter's Lane trying to get that. Scott, this Brentwood team, this defense has been very good. I mean, they lost to Ravenwood last week, but they have really done the job most of the year.
They have, and what really strikes me is that they're really improving as the season goes on, finding out who they are. And you see what Coach is instilling in his players, teaching them the right way. It's good to see, and that's going to pay off dividends for them in the long run.
Yep. Continuing on with those Thursday night scores, Beach a 22-7 winner over Summit. This one was in doubt for a long time. A couple of late turnovers by Summit allowed Beach to pull away there at the very end of that one. The Buccaneers now 4-1. They've got a region game at home against West Creek next week. Summit's on the road at Ravenwood. Fairview, a big win over White House Heritage, 41-7 in that region. 6-3 tilt. The Yellow Jackets now 4-2, and they've got White House for a key region game next week. White House Heritage falls to 0-6, and they're on the road at Cheatham County trying to get win number 1 in week number 7. On to Friday scores, Blackman 56-28 over Antioch. The Blaze put up 503 yards of offense to Antioch's 288. Jack Reisner, 5 touchdown passes, threw for 256 yards for Blackman. Cane Ridge knocked off CPA 31-28. Big win for the Ravens there to go to 5-1 and ahead of their key region showdown with Smyrna next week. CPA drops to 3-3, and they've got Franklin Road Academy coming in week number 7. Centennial, a 24-0 shutout win at Dickson County. The Cougars go to 5-1, and they'll take on Franklin on the road next week. Dickson County still winless on the year at 0-6. Whites Creek, an 18-14 winner over Cheatham County. The Cobras get their second win of the year. They will have Westmoreland for a region matchup at home in week 7, while Cheatham County gets White House Heritage at home. Clarksville got out to a 47-0 lead on Northeast in the first half. It ended 47-30. Northeast outscored the Wildcats 30-0 the second half. This one was wild, but Clarksville gets it done in that Montgomery County City showdown between the Wildcats and the Eagles. Clarksville now 3-3. They will have Hendersonville at home next week. Northeast goes to Northwest to try to get above 500 again. Creekwood, a 28-0 winner over Montgomery Central. The Redhawks now 3-3 and 2-2 in region play. Montgomery Central drops to 2-4. They'll travel to Greenbrier next week. Yeah, put the scorebooks away. I think they finally stopped scoring. 59-51, Nashville Christian over Davidson Academy. This one was wild from the get-go. 30 points scored in the first quarter, 21 of them by Nashville Christian, who led 31-30 at the half. And then they just traded scores from there. Jared Curtis, 5 touchdown passes, threw for 360 yards for Nashville Christian. Cortland Simmons ran for 5 touchdowns and 256 yards for Davidson Academy in one of the wildest games of the year so far.
Yeah, I think that they'd still be playing if they didn't make them go home.
Davidson Academy doesn't get any easier for the Bears. They're at Lipscomb Academy next week. Nashville Christian gets Grace Christian at home in week 7. DeKalb County, 55-7 winners over Cannon County. Colby Barnes had another big night, his 3rd consecutive 200-yard rushing game, 28 carries, 242 yards, and 5 touchdowns for the DeKalb County Tigers. We're now 5-1. And they'll have Livingston Academy for a region matchup at home next week.
It's amazing to me that this team has been able to overcome the loss of their starting quarterback in Briss Trapp and have found their running game and are really asserting themselves on that side of the ball that way.
Yep. East Nashville, 32-7 winners at Independence. The Eagles got 3 touchdowns from Zach Prince. Or check that. I'm sorry. 32-7 East Nashville. That was not Zach Prince. I don't have notes on that one. We'll keep on going. East Nashville 6-0, and they've got Green Hill for a non-region game next week. Independence has that key game at Brentwood to possibly determine second place in their region. East Robertson 41-0 over Joe Burns. Zach Prince had 3 touchdowns for the Indians. Got ahead of myself in the first one. And a big man score from 6'2", 335-pound Tanner Cheatham, who got in the end zone for the Indians. Never bad to see a big man score.
Nope.
McGavick over Franklin 35-14. The Raiders now 5-1. They've got an important region game in Overton next week, while Franklin, looking for win number 1, gets Centennial at home. Goodpasture, a 29-0 winner at Liberty Creek. The Cougars now 4-2. They'll play BGA next. Liberty Creek is off in week number 7. Don't adjust your screen. That is the correct score, we believe. 47-2 Greenbrier over Hillwood. Hillwood's only points coming out of safety. Greenbrier now 3-2, and they've got Creekwood at home next week. Hillwood travels to Tullahoma. Ravenwood, a 27-10 winner over Hendersonville. Raptors averaged more than 12 yards a carry in this one. Hendersonville was held to 12 yards per pass. Notes are a little bit small for me. Getting old, I believe.
Yeah, it was really both teams were kind of equal on the stat sheet, but when you look at the offensive efficiency, the passing game from Ravenwood much more efficient.
Yeah, Ravenwood will get Summit at home next week, while Hendersonville's on the road at Clarksville. Hunters Lane 31-14 winners at Stratford. The Warriors now 3-3. They get Hillsboro next. Stratford is at Smith County. Friendship Christian all over Maplewood 55-8. The Commanders had this game well in hand by halftime. They were 6-0 now as they'll head to Webb School for a week 7 game. Maplewood gets a game at home against Jackson County. MBA 35-21 winners over Brentwood Academy. Big win for the Big Red, who came into this game playing very good football. Let's get those highlights loaded up for you, Scott. Another big night for Jonathan Moore, 3 touchdowns for him. Marcel Reed threw for 2 in this one. As I get these highlights loaded, Brentwood Academy kept this thing close for the most part, but they couldn't quite get what the stop they needed to get it close. All right. Let's see some highlights from this one. Seven nothing MBA as Marcel Reed hits Claiborne Richards for a 9-yard score in the first quarter. We'll pick it up at the 7. MBA up 14-7. They pull out a screen pass, and here comes Blake Ragsdale, 22 yards for that MBA touchdown. They're up 21-7 at that point. Brentwood Academy cut it to 21-10 with a field goal by George Laster. Here's Jonathan Moore. This was his second touchdown run of the night. This one's 49 yards all the way to the house. MBA was up 28-10 at that point, and we're wondering what's going on. Well, Brentwood Academy found some footing. They got a field goal by George Laster at the end of the half, 28-13 at halftime. An interception put them back in business. Deuce Scott from a yard out. They got the 2-point conversion here to cut the MBA lead to 7. It was 28-21 at that point. But MBA ate up a lot of clock in the second half as much as they could. And Jonathan Moore, again, this time from a yard out to ice it late in the game. 35-21 MBA with the final. And we'll hear from Marcel Reed, who had those 2 touchdown passes here in just a second.
The offensive outburst in the second quarter, I know this team's capable of it. Did it surprise you at all, or are we seeing the NBA that people really should be expecting?
You're seeing the NBA that people should be expecting. I mean, we come out with a powerhouse team every year, surprise or not. I mean, we just, execute what we're taught during week in, week out at practice. And I think we have the tools on the outside and on the inside. Our O-line's great, running back's great, and we can throw the ball for the team.
Yeah, Jonathan Moore has been a big part of this offense for you guys this year. Talk about what he's meant to just for you in this offense, if you would.
He's meant a lot. J-Mo is a great running back who's very under the radar, and he's a big back who's hard to tackle, and when he gets out open, he can take off, and it just opens up a lot for the passing game.
We know how important this rivalry is to both schools, and to come in here on their homecoming, no less, and win like this. What's that say for you guys after tonight?
We didn't really come in here thinking I mean, it's our homecoming. We just came in thinking that, I mean, it's another game that we got to get the dub in. Come in and execute the game plan that we were taught all week, and just play football and have fun.
It seems like this team may still have another gear in them. You think it's the case?
Yeah, I don't think we're losing that at all. We're still pushing.
All right, man. Congratulations.
So thank you.
Big one for MBA, and an impressive win too. And Brentwood Academy, you know, I was really impressed with George McIntyre. Listen, that young man has a cannon on him. He had a deep ball late that easily went 55 yards in the air, trying to get a deep score and get back in it, but didn't quite work out for him. You know, Brentwood Academy played a pretty good ball game for the most part, just had a slow start, and that's what kind of got him too far behind the 8 ball. All right. Well, before we go any further, let's hear from our proud sponsors at Fifth Gear Technology Concepts. In today's business world, it can be expensive to maintain a staff of experienced and knowledgeable IT personnel, especially for a small or medium-sized business. You don't have the time to monitor your own systems or stay up on the latest cybersecurity or technological solutions while trying to service your customers. That's why you should contact Fifth Gear Technology Concepts. Fifth Gear is an award-winning managed service provider that can manage your business needs with local and responsive IT support services. Fifth Gear specializes in fully managed or co-managed IT support, cybersecurity, cloud solutions, and superior customer care that can fit your budget. Call today to learn more at 615-606-3121 or visit us at fifthgearconcepts.com. Fifth Gear Technology Concepts, the latest insights and information in the world of IT. Continuing on with scores from Friday, Mount Juliet 31, Wilson Central 3. This game had a lot of penalties, Scott.
Yeah,
42 yards.
Yeah, a lot of laundry on the field of this one, but it looks like Mount Juliet was able to come out ahead. I understand that once again, Darius Morton had a big night.
Yeah, Darius Morton had a kickoff return for a touchdown late in the first half that kind of put Mount Juliet ahead for good. And the Golden Bears now 4-1. They get a Thursday night battle at home against Station Camp. Wilson Central has White County, the Malachi Dowell show coming in next week.
That's a question. He hurt his groin in the fourth quarter, and we'll see how if he's able to go next week.
Overton 46-13 winners at Northwest. They scored on every offensive series except one. Ryder Hagan had 3 touchdown passes for the Bobcats, who are now 4-1 entering that McGavick game next week. Northwest has Northeast coming in for a cross-county battle. Hope Prep hung on for a 34-27 win at BGA. The Knights are 5-1, and they get the MBA road show coming in next week. While BGA is still seeking win number 1, they'll have Goodpasture on the road trying to find it. Macon County 42-15 winners over Portland. Tigers were 35-7 leaders at the first half. Eli Borders, another big night, 166 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns there. Also had, I think, 130 yards receiving, 2 scores, also 5 tackles and an interception on defense. Young man doing it all again for the Tigers, who are 6-0.
Yeah, I think you meant Gabe Borders. Is that right?
Gabe Borders. Eli, the twin brother, is trying to work his way back from injury. Yeah. I'll correct myself there. But Macon County gets Upperman for a big Class 4A showdown there next week.
Huge.
And we'll say it. Nolensville 49 winners, 29-21 winners over Rockvale. Scott, you had this one last night. Tell me a little bit about what you saw.
Well, unfortunately for Rockvale, Mayhew, their quarterback, went down on the first play of the game, and it kind of spiraled eventually out. But quite truthfully, for all the talk about defense on the Rockvale side, I think Nolensville defense wanted to come out and make a statement. Once they got settled in, they kind of did 5 turnovers last night, 3 interceptions, including a pick 6, a fumble return for touchdown, fumble recovery on a punt muff. All that surrounds Samson Johnson's 3 touchdown performance. But I tell you, Rockvale, their young quarterback Talon, who stepped in, he's going to overcome those things. If he can overcome the turnover bug that kind of hit him as he was thrown in last night, he and Jalen, I believe it's Jalen Morgan, quite a connection. A couple of big long passes there.
Yeah, we'll see those here in just a second. Let's pull those highlights up for you. Hawkeye Tellin finds Nolan Dunkey a 5-yard touchdown. Rockville led this one 7-0 early on. But Samson Johnson answer to Nolensville around the right side and into the end zone. Back there in the corner, 7-7. Late in the first quarter. Tellin again. Taylor Morgan. Down the sidelines and all the way to the end zone. This one went 74 yards as the Rockets had a 14-7 lead in the second quarter. Nolensville's defense, as you mentioned, Scott, the pick by Derek Burrows and the return to the end zone. Pick 6 for the Knights to tie this game up at 14 apiece. Nolensville had another interception a short time later that led to this from Samson Johnson. This was a 6-yard touchdown for the Knights senior running back, 21-14. Nolensville as the line pushes him into the end zone. That's how it went to halftime. Third quarter action coming to you after we see the celebration by the lineman. Here's Kobe Walton to Chance Fitzgerald, 9 yards for this Nolensville touchdown, and the Knights were off and running with a 28-14 lead. After that muff punt, Johnson again, almost like the first one, around the right end and into your living room. 5 yards from Samson Johnson, 35-14 Nolensville. Tellin to Morgan again, 78 yards. This one pretty much in stride and didn't have a tackle to deal with this time. They did cut the lead to 35-21, but Nolensville answered rather quickly. Kobe Walton finds Dylan Northcutt. Rolls out to the right, finds Northcutt, who gets in at the pylon. 42-21 after that 14-yard score. Fumble here. Dayton Wyatt picks it up. Scoops and scores for the Knights. That was their final points of the night. Rockvale added a late score. That made it 49-28. 49-28 should be that final.
49-27. They didn't kick the extra point.
They didn't kick the extra point. Thanks
Right.
Thanks for adding that, Scott. Let's get those interviews loaded up for you. First up, we will get with Paul Derrick, and then you'll hear from Samson Johnson. And I believe Derek Burrows is the other one.
Yes.
Really tough early. They suffered the unfortunate injury. Going in this week, how did you prepare for that defense?
Well, we just knew we were going to get a lot of different looks, and they got good coaches over there. They got good players, and they're kind of chaotic on that side of the ball. So we just tried to show our kids as many looks as we possibly could. And, the heat kind of got us this week. One day we got pushed inside, so that was, obviously not ideal to prepare to play a football game. But, I'm proud of our kids. I'm proud of the fight they showed tonight. It wasn't perfect. We didn't execute great at times on either side of the ball. We made mistakes, but we had enough grit. We had enough heart to keep battling and win a tough football game against a good football team.
And your defense really stepped up in this game, got you some points. When your offense was having trouble, it looked like they were really getting after Kobe in the backfield.
Yeah, I think that pick six by Derek Burrows, I think that really got us going, really got us energized, and kind of got things rolling for us. So I'm extremely proud of the way our defense has played the last couple weeks. We did have a couple mistakes tonight. I had a couple bad calls, so it was a group effort in that regard. But it's a lot easier to come back and correct mistakes on either side of the ball after a victory than after a loss. So that's what we'll do. We'll come back and get back to work. And our goal every week is just to try to get better. That's what we preach to our kids and try to be as consistent as we can. So that's what we'll do going forward.
It looked like in the second half, you guys came down. Your defense was able to keep them shut down pretty much. What did you in any adjustment you made at halftime, or what did you say to your team at halftime?
We just had to settle back in. I think early on we got some pressure on the quarterback, and we were getting up the field a little bit on the defensive line. So we had to settle down and stay flat so we could stop the run. We were creating some vertical seams on the defense. So it was just getting back to the basics, getting back to technique, getting back to fundamentals. And then, we wanted to give them a little more pressure in the second half with the backup quarterback being in there.
Yeah, it looked like your offense, your offensive line started asserting itself a little bit. Samson was able to get some yardage and it looked like Colby had a little bit more time.
Yeah, I think we made some adjustments at halftime and our protections and just had to do a better job in protection and give Kobe some time, because if you give him time, and he can make plays for us. But that's how, again, a lot of that was Rockvale. A lot of that was them having a good plan and having good players. So we got to do our job as coaches and as players and get better in that department. But, hats off to Rockville for a good plan on both sides of the ball tonight, really.
Well, what can you take from this game going forward as you move into region play?
I think we just found a way to win a really tough game against a good, tough opponent. And, we made mistakes and we were able to overcome them because of our effort at times. And I think in football, you're going to have to win ugly games like that sometimes. You're going to have to find a way to win games when you're not playing your best. And I think that's what I saw tonight for my team.
Samson, you had a big night on the night. Talk to me about this week leading up to this game.
We had a really good week of practice leading up to this week. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. We came out, started off slow, and we picked it up in the second half. And my 3 touchdowns I wouldn't have been able to do that without the O-line and everybody else that was blocking.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like in the second half you tended to grind on them a little bit. What did Coach say to you at halftime?
Yeah, we come back out. We didn't play very well in the first half. That we come back out in the second half and punch them in the throat and get it rolling and show them what we can really do and show the state what we really about.
Yeah, talk about your defense because your defense really come up some big plays tonight.
We rely on our defense a lot. Our defense have like 6 sacks and 5 interceptions, whatever. They're awesome. We wouldn't have been able to do that without the defense, and the defense is amazing.
How big is this win on homecoming night here? Against a team like Rockvale, who's a very good team.
This game was huge because they're a 6A team from Rutherford County, 4-1. Everybody thought it was gonna be closer. We knew what the score was gonna be. We didn't buy into all that. We know how good we are. They're a good football team, but we're better. We took advantage of what they gave us.
What do you take away from this game to move forward?
We gotta start faster, and just start faster. When we start fast, we can start clicking. Nobody can hold us.
Talk to me about your preparation for this week.
We had a great game plan to come out. We had a great game plan for Coach Derry and Coach Merrifield to pass us on man when the quarterback gets out of the pocket and just keep our eyes around the receivers, not the backfield.
So, I was going to say, walk me through that. What is your read on those plays? Because it seemed like you were able to jump those routes.
Yeah, we got a lot of coverage where, we can jump the route. But the deep routes, we just, kind of man-to-man, man them up. But the short routes, it depends what coverage we're in. Cover 3, cover 2.
Yeah. Well, how about your defensive line? They got a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I mean, unfortunately for them, they have their starter go out. You guys had to be salivating when you saw the sophomore come in.
They're a big factor in all the interceptions that gets back to the secondary because they have the quarterback under pressure. But, yeah.
And your offense, I mean, in the second half, it's like your defense kind of settled in. You stopped them pretty good. What did Coach say to you at halftime?
He was telling us we had to keep doing what we're doing. The offense is kind of slow, so we have to keep our foot on the gas. But what Coach Derry told us was to keep doing what we was doing, basically. And we switch up the things, but yeah, we just came same thing.
You feel like that pick six energized the team?
Yes, sir. That energized the team a lot. Yeah. We needed that, but yeah, gotta do what we needed.
Yeah. You going forward, you take this victory on with you. What do you guys feel going forward? I mean, you're starting to enter region play.
Yes, sir. We feel good. We feel great actually. 6-0. We look forward to Page getting back to Page. So yeah, that's gonna be the game of the year. So yeah, hope to be there with that one.
Chris?
Guess what? Gotta unmute myself, folks. Let's try that again. Gonna be a fun one at Page in a couple of weeks when I get back over there at Nolensville, actually, when Page comes in. Those two very well could be unbeaten. Will be a top 5 game in 5A. Scott, I'll bring you back in for this one. The way Nolensville's defense has improved over last year, it's obviously been a big reason why they're unbeaten now as opposed to last year when they got off to a slow start.
Yeah, their run defense is really, really good. And I think that going into this game, like I said, their defense wanted to come in and make a statement. I heard a couple of times that their defense, they love their offense. They think they're very, very good, some of the best in the state. But they feel a little lack of love sometimes, and I think that they're going to get a chance to prove it. I mean, they did a good job against Rockvale, but Page is going to be a different animal region game. They're going to get a chance to prove what they can do against a really, really good offense.
Yeah, 49-27 winners for Nolensville last night. Ignore that score that was on the screen. It's incorrect. Let's go forward and hear from Innovate Medical real quick before we get to the rest of the scoreboard.
Live TV, folks.
Live YouTube, it's, live Twitter, live Facebook, live all of it. Yeah, fun times. Anyway, on with the scores, 32-7, Springfield over Rossview. Another big night for Devin Crenshaw on the ground, 18 carries, 105 yards, 3 touchdowns. Springfield held Rossview to 144 yards total offense, while the Yellow Jackets racked up 349 for themselves. Springfield also 6-0, another one of those teams in 5A that's going to have a say in who does a lot of damage in the playoffs. They've got a big one next week with Henry County coming in. Rossview gets Gallatin next week. Yeah, this is another one of those weird scores. 15-5, Smyrna over Riverdale. No relievers. No position players pitched for the Bulldogs. A little inside baseball there. 15-5, Smyrna wins. The Bulldogs now 5-0. Another key region game next week against Cane Ridge. Memphis commit Jason Marable, 8 tackles, 2 sacks, a fumble return for a touchdown for the Bulldogs, and it's the 100th career coaching win for Matt Williams. Smyrna, their defense has been lights out. Nobody's gotten to 10 points each of the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, this was a really, really good defensive matchup, as you can tell by the score. These Bulldogs are I don't want to call them sneaky good because that implies that they might not be seeing the respect, but they're good, but they're flying, just probably a little under the radar.
No more under the radar stuff next week with Cane Ridge coming in to Smyrna. 34-13 Station Camp over West Creek. The Bison are now 4-1. They get a Thursday nighter at Mount Juliet, while West Creek will travel to Beach in region play next week. Stewart's Creek 38-0 winners at Laverne. Javarian Ote with another nice night. 15 carries, 125 yards, 4 scores. Also 4 catches for 93 yards. Stewart's Creek had 420 yards of total offense as the Redhawks now get their second win of the year. They'll get a visit from Rockvale next week when Laverne travels to Dickson County. White House 38-6 winners over Sycamore. The Blue Devils now 3-3. Back to 500 for them. They'll face Fairview on the road. Sycamore now 1-5. They'll go to Stewart County next week. Smith County doing what everybody else has done. Trousdale County beating up on the Yellow Jackets 53-8. The Owls big winners in that rivalry game. Trousdale County now 0-6. They will travel to Harpeth next week with a chance to get that first win. It's an important one because the loser of that game is probably not going to see the playoffs. Smith County now 5-1. Stratford is their next opponent at home. On to the out-of-area scoreboard. Republic a Thursday night drop to Brighton 51-0. Father Ryan did everything it could. JoJo Crum had a monster night, but Bowling Green beats the Fighting Irish 46-45. Clarksville Academy 49-28 winners at Fayette Academy. DJ Merriweather had 7 touchdowns, 3 passing and 4 rushing for the Cougars. Westmoreland rallied back for a 20-19 win over Clay County. The Eagles now 4-2. Clay County drops to 4-2 as well. Gordonsville a big win over Coalfield at home, 42-21 over the previously unbeaten Yellow Jackets. Gallatin 58-29 winners over Cookeville. The Green Wave back to 500 at 3-3. Eagleville also 3-3. They won at Cornersville 28-14 for their first win in region competition. Ezo Harding fell 30-7 at Summertown. Glencliff dropped a hard win at 44-0 at Lawrence County. White County knocked off Green Hill 21-20. Scott, you mentioned Malachi Dow with a groin injury. He did not finish the game for the Warriors there. Green Hill falls to 4-2, 2-1 in region play. And the standings in that region now got shaken up by that loss.
Yeah, that region is really kind of wide open right now.
Harpeth falls at McEwen 48-26. They've lost 2 straight since that 4-0 start. Lebanon rallied back from 2 straight losses. They win 38-0 at home on homecoming over Lincoln County. Middle Tennessee Christian 38-21 winners at Lakewood Christian. Cougars with 4 sacks on defense. Eli Wilson had 103 yards in a score for the Cougars on the ground. Page 45-28 winners at Giles County. They had a 35-7 lead early. 250 yards of total offense from Ethan Cunningham, who had 3 touchdowns on the ground and 1 through the air. One more score, 49-9 Whitwell over Red Bowling Springs. The Bulldogs fall to a 3-3 mark with that road loss. Shelbyville, Kenwood beat Shelbyville 27-24. The Knights now 2-4. Siegel held on over Warren County 21-18. Corey Sims, 15 carries, 100 yards, and 2 scores on the ground for the Stars. DCA falls at home to Silverdale 37-7. Ensworth has a fun homecoming over St. Benedict 66-7. They held St. Benedict to minus 38 yards rushing on 13 attempts. Strong defensive effort from the Tigers there. FRA 42-14 winners, over St. George's. A couple more scores to hand off to you. Procone 45-0 winners over Tullahoma. The Firebirds now 4 wins in a row since that 0-2 start. Watertown hammered by Upperman 48-7. The Purple Tigers now 3-3. And the final score of the week, Grace Christian 37-7 winners over Webb School. Before we head out, final thoughts on what you saw from week 6.
What I saw from week 6 is that there are a lot of different ways to score. Now, what I saw from week 6 is some teams starting to separate themselves, and some other teams that are kind of falling back to earth maybe a little bit. The races are starting to shake out, with the exception of, like we said, a couple of regions that are really kind of jumbled. It's setting itself up to be a fun second half of the season to really see how some teams. I mean, we're a couple of upsets, or you call them upsets, but upsets away from seeing some new teams, some new faces out there, taking on some of the old reliables, kind of taking the back seat.
Yep. And the next week shaping up to be a big week for region games. A lot of good matchups on slate as well. Headlined by Blackman and Oakland for that first place in that region. I'll be there next Friday. Later today, you all can vote on where Scott's going to be at, and we'll have a couple of games to choose from for you at 615preps.com. Make sure you vote for the fans game of the week for week 7. That'll come around at 6 o'clock this evening.
Yeah. You guys always get to tell me where to go.
That is going to do it for us here on the 615 Preps Scoreboard, presented by Fifth Gear Technology Concepts. For Scott Burton, I'm Chris Brooks. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you in the Midstate 48 on Wednesday to get you ready for week number 7. Have a great one, everybody.
Have a blessed weekend, everybody.